back at it again, might back at it again. Never miss back at it again, to make shit back at it again. Never left back at it again, saw X back at it again. We the best back at it again, go next, I in Infiniti, got the ability, got the agility. We are the epitome, energy and the synergy, meddling with the metals, taking off in a shuttle. We only wore extraterrestrial levels while it's petty crime. Too many blind, too many dying, too many times. So now we gotta draw the line, walking alone, cause look, your home is hard to find. Wishing life would just give me a sign, so let's take it.
Coming up on Nicole's View. So I saw this article, this interview, I should say, and it did not get past me. I was going to talk about it either on Anchor or on YouTube. I chose YouTube because it's been a minute since I've done a standalone topic video. So this is it. Miss Phylicia Rashad, the iconic, legendary, beautiful actress, mother, you name it, she's been it. And I wanted to go over this interview she did with this Rebecca Carroll over at Bustle. And I'm not going to read the whole article. It's a nice little lengthy article. But I wanted to focus on, of course, where she talks about, the Cosby Show. And then, of course, Mr. Cosby and his situation. And just how Miss Phylicia Rashad was on code like a G, and I love her for it. Okay, but quick commercial break and we'll jump right into it.
I've fallen for this mysterious black woman. Her alluring smile and intoxicating dark skin have set my frozen heart ablaze with burning desire. But I'm a counter-racist hitman. It's my sacred duty to spy on these crooked cops, waiting for the right moment to expose their secrets and end their reign of terror. Now, I'm in love with one of my targets, silently watching her. Gazing into her deep brown eyes, my heart pulses with uncertainty. Is this black woman one of them, or is she with us? How do I manage this love battle waging within my heart while delivering justice to the black community? Find out in War of the Heart, Occam Jeffers' novel, coming December 1st everywhere books are sold. Visit spiritOf1811publishing.com for details.
Hey guys, it's Nicole here, back on this Saturday night. I hope you guys are all doing good out there, and welcome back to Nicole's View. So we're going to go ahead and jump into this article. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but just the big chunks of it, the meat, and that's in regard to the Cosby Show, Mr. Cosby, and Miss Rashad. I will say off the top that Miss Phylicia Rashad, the pictures are just great. I love them. They're iconic, legendary. They just represent her class, personification. I mean, the woman is just, that's what she is. Okay. I just love everything about her. I don't know her personally, but just what she exudes is just wonderful. We need more of it, especially in this generation. But this writer here was just absolutely atrocious, and you're going to see why. Okay. But of course, I'm sure most of you are not surprised. So it starts off like this. Phylicia Rashad, 72, tries her hand at sci-fi horror and finds new depths to the role that made her a legend. Phylicia Rashad is nothing if not composed. In this way, the new Zoom era suits her. Rashad is sitting in what looks to be a home office, well lit and surrounded by shelves of books. Wearing a crisp white shirt, posture straight, shoulders squared, and level with the frame of my computer screen. We ease into the interview with the increasingly customary counting of blessings during these times, especially as Black folks. So she's a Black woman, okay? For our health, the safety and wellness of our families, of our children. That's what we have to do, Rashad says in her gentle, calibrated cadence. A simple statement that holds the weight of 6 months and 400 years. It feels both appropriate and daunting to discuss motherhood with Rashad, who has played myriad memorable mothers throughout her decades-long career in theater, film, and television, but none more than the iconic role of Claire Huxtable from the now irreparably tarnished 80s sitcom The Cosby Show. For 8 seasons, Rashad played Claire, wife attorney, mother of 5, and head of household with a rigorous sense of self, clarity, and purpose. Now see, this is where Rebecca Carroll is garbage. Because let me tell you something, Miss Rebecca Carroll. The Cosby Show is not tarnished. Okay? If Seventh Heaven with Stephen Collins, who admitted to messing with a 13-year-old girl, okay, Rebecca Carroll, and the fans of that show demanded that they keep Seventh Heaven in syndication, and they brought it back on TV. Now, if Seventh Heaven isn't tarnished, then neither is The Cosby Show. Rebecca Carroll. The audacity. This is what I'm talking about. You have these bootlicks here who think they speak for all of us. No. Rebecca Carroll, you don't speak, Carol, not Cole, but Carol. You don't speak for us. The Cosby Show is not tarnished. Just because they told you to say that does not make it true. As a matter of fact, I know plenty of people who still love The Cosby Show and still hold it in high esteem, including myself. So no, it's not tarnished. This is what I'm talking about. The audacity of these folks. And this is why you need folks like me to call them out. And it goes on to say, Claire's commitment to raising her children to become smart, morally grounded, responsible, and compassionate individuals was palpable and uncompromising, and Rashad commanded every single scene in which Claire flexed that authority. And see, the way that she's describing this is just, yes, that role with Miss Phylicia Rashad as Claire Huxtable, yes, she was all of that, but so was Mr. Cosby. They equaled each other out, okay? They were both that. See, this is the erasure. They're wanting to erase the history of Bill Cosby. And you will not do that. You will not erase what he has contributed to television. And we have to make that be known. I don't give a damn what happened. If they can celebrate their icons, their legends, who have been accused of any and everything, and a lot of them got off scot-free, then you're not going to do that to Mr. Cosby. You're not going to do it. And see, this is the next phase, because once this appeal hearing happens on December 1st, which is going to be streamed on YouTube, folks, and I will be live on YouTube. We're going to look at that together. Okay? And this is great because now the public is going to see how much of a farce that this was against Mr. Cosby. But anyway, before I get too carried away, this is what I'm talking about. You have your so-called own out here just repeating this vomit that the mainstream dominant society does. Now it says here that I love those years, says Rashad of her time on the show. I was thinking about it just yesterday morning. It was such a creative time, a collaborative time. It was a high time. It was a great time. And it gave people in the world a lot. Now, see, this is where Miss Phylicia Rashad basically lets it be known that no, this was a great time. You're not going to do that. Then it goes on to say, when I was pregnant with my son 15 years ago, a friend who was already a mother affectionately warned me that your children will hold you emotionally hostage in ways that you could have never possibly imagined. I remember watching an episode of The Cosby Show, then still in reruns, where this particular advice bears out in no uncertain terms. When teenage Vanessa, the fourth of Claire's 5 children, she's not even including Bill Cosby in this. It wasn't just Claire's children. It was Cliff and Claire's children. Look at how sneaky she was with this. Pretty soon, they're going to make it seem as though they're not even going to include Mr. Cosby in this show. It's just going to be, I guess, Miss Phylicia Rashad was just a single mother, strong and independent. Is that what's coming up next? Yes, she was excellent, but she just wasn't the only one on this show. Shame on you, Rebecca Carroll. It goes on to say, ooh, look, I'm getting so into this, I've lost my spot. We'll go back to here. It says, The Cosby Show, then still in reruns, where this particular advice bears out in no uncertain terms. When teenage Vanessa, the fourth of Claire's 5 children, lies about going to a concert in Baltimore. Of course, Claire finds out, and when she gets Vanessa back home, Rashad gives one of her most cogent performances as the Cosby family matriarch. I hope that one day you come to realize exactly what it feels like to think that your child's life is in danger, Claire tells Vanessa, teeth clenched, lips rigid. You have taken us from levels of frenzy, panic, distress, and now that we know you're okay, rage. Vanessa's eyes water as she lowers her head, engulfed in shame. It's among hundreds of indelible moments during the run of The Cosby Show that earned Rashad the title Mother of the Black Community at the 2010 NAACP Image Awards. Now, after that, the article starts to talk about what Miss Rashad, kind of her history, what she's currently doing. So I skipped over that, and then I went ahead and jumped towards more of the end of the article. And this is where Rebecca Carroll brings up Cosby, and this is what she says. I don't bring up Bill Cosby by name out of respect for Rashad, who has publicly supported her friend and former TV husband since a flurry of sexual assault and misconduct allegations surfaced against him in late 2014. In an exclusive interview with ABC in January of 2015, Rashad described Cosby as a genius, generous, kind, and inclusive. Prior to the interview, Rashad had been quoted as saying, "Forget those women," in response to the women who came forward with accusations against Cosby, which she vehemently argued in the ABC interview was a misquote. What I said is that this is not about the women. This is about something else. This is about the obliteration of legacy. In 2018, Cosby was convicted falsely of 3 counts of felony sexual assault and sentenced to 3 to 10 years in prison. He has appealed the decision to the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. And like I said, on December 1st will be the oral arguments for that appeal. And it goes on to say, instead, I ask her what she might tell people who feel they can no longer watch The Cosby Show. And Ms. Rashad says, I don't know why anyone would feel that way. Rashad says, her tenor plain, I just don't accept what somebody says because they say it. And they say it in a loud voice. The internet has given a lot of anonymous people a very loud voice. And this too has happened before. She's absolutely right. You see how she is just on a sophisticated level. She's low-key checking her. And I love it. I love it. Why? Who is saying, besides the mainstream media, besides the dominant society, who told folks to take off the Cosby Show off of TV? But what I'm seeing, people watch it. From my understanding, it's on Amazon. TV One, from my understanding, they were still showing it. So, who is saying that they just can't watch it? You? You're saying this? Because you don't speak for all of us. And this, once again, here she goes. Rebecca Carroll. It's almost too heartbreaking to accept Rashad's continued dismissal of Cosby's accusers. She is, after all, a modern black queen. No. No. Rebecca Carroll, no. Phylicia Rashad knows Bill Cosby. You don't. Okay? You don't. You're just a part of the media, repeating their nonsense. Rebecca Carroll, have you actually investigated these women? Have you actually went into their backgrounds like I did and many others? Rebecca Carroll, do you really know who you're low-key or high-key defending? No, you don't. Because if you knew, if you did the research like I did, you'd know that many of these women were frauds. And Miss Phylicia Rashad knows that, but she's not telling you that. But she knows that. She knows that this is a crock of you-know-what. Now, Miss Rebecca Carroll goes on to say, but she insists that there is a lesson to be learned here. Now, this is where Miss Phylicia Rashad comes back with history. Zora Neale Hurston died a pauper, Rashad says, sharpening her tone. And you do know why. I knew that Hurston, the celebrated writer, best known for her 1937 novel, Their Eyes Were Watching God, had died poor, and gathered through various historical accounts that it was because she'd had difficulties getting her work published. What black writer throughout history hasn't? But I had to admit to Rashad that I didn't know any further specifics. And this is where Miss Phylicia Rashad basically checks her. And she says, oh, you should do a little research on that, Rashad says, raising her eyebrows at me. You should go back and look at some charges that were brought up against her that didn't make any sense. And look at what happened when the judge had thrown out the case, but it had gone through black magazines. Through this step and the other, and her books were taken off the shelf. So even back then, you had your so-called magazines like Ebony. At one point that was highly regarded and respected, but of course it went down the drain, down the trash in its last years. And one of the articles that they did, that they helped the dominant society do in bringing down Cosby, was the shattered image of the Cosby Show. So even back then, for this woman, you had coon magazines that did the same thing. History repeats itself, doesn't it? And it goes on to say, you have to Google the specific words falsely accused along with Zora Neale Hurston in order to turn up the story. According to a 2002 piece in the New York Times, in 1948, a vindictive neighbor accused Hurston of sexual relations with her 10-year-old son. The charges were patently false. Hurston had been in Honduras at the time, and the boy was mentally unstable. Sounds like someone we know too. But she was indicted, and the story leaked to a black newspaper, which sensationalized it. The case was finally thrown out, and characteristically, Hurston rebounded to work on a final published novel, Seraph on the Suwannee, and a unfinished nonfiction work called Herod the Great that no publisher would touch. That is awful. How sad. And so I know what I know, and I just stay with what I know, Rashad says, and it will happen in time. That this will come around another way, as it often does. And then people say, oh, so basically that's Miss Rashad's way of saying, at the end of the day, I know these women, they're basically are frauds without saying it. And it will all come to a surface one day. And it may most likely happen when Mr. Cosby is no longer here. Because history has a way of repeating itself. So, you don't think it's over? I asked gingerly, passing the it back to her like a family heirloom. I don't know what's over, Rashad laughs, unyielding, and then she becomes somber. There are some things I leave alone, she says, letting her guard down ever so slightly for the first time during the interview. I just leave them alone. I leave them alone. Perhaps in an effort to bring the problem to its simplest form, or at least look at it through purifying lens, Rashad mentions a story I've read and heard her tell before about meeting Nelson Mandela, who said he'd watched The Cosby Show with his prison guard on Robben Island in South Africa. Mandela told Rashad that watching the show had softened the guard. She beams at the memory. That's what art does. And that's its power, says Rashad, satisfied. And that's what I want to do in all the work that I do. And that is the end of the article. Now, like I said, there was actually way more, which focused more on her other projects, her career and whatnot. But I really wanted to laser beam focus on this Rebecca Carroll here because she did a very, very unfortunate injustice to Miss Phylicia Rashad. And you can tell by Miss Rashad's responses to her. She's like, no. That's not what it is. No. This is how it is. But of course she did it in a respectful, classy way. I wouldn't expect anything less from Miss Phylicia Rashad. But, it was nice to see her check her as if she was one of her own daughters. It's just very sad that an article like this could not have been, or an interview like this could not have been conducted with someone like me or anyone else who know how to separate the two. Even if I thought Mr. Cosby was not innocent, I believe he is innocent. But even if I thought he wasn't, and I was a journalist and I'm interviewing this iconic woman, I'm just not going to go there. I'm still going to include Bill Cosby because when it comes to that show, because no matter what happens, that show is a part of history now. And you can't just erase him. You cannot erase this man from his own show. It's not called the Phylicia Rashad Show. It's called The Cosby Show. And we're not going to allow folks like you, Rebecca, to get away with this. You could have done a hell of a lot better with this interview. I'm actually offended by it because Miss Rashad, I don't think should even have to sit down and even have to listen to some of this. It's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous to me, she's like television royalty. Why does she even have to talk to someone like this who, in so many ways, you're still dismissing Miss Rashad because her and Mr. Cosby were a duo. They were a team on that show. So, yeah, I'm glad she said what she said. Why would people have an issue with it? Y'all still watch Seven Heaven. Y'all still listen to Elvis Presley. Y'all still do all these other things, celebrate all these other folks. No one's yanking their music off the air. No one's yanking their TV shows off the air. But when it's a black man, we're supposed to yank it off the air and pretend it never existed? Get the hell out of here. And shame on you. Shame on you, because this could have been so much better. So much better. But anyway, guys, what are your thoughts and opinions? Let me know what you think about this article. And shout out to Miss Phylicia Rashad. And like I said, Mr. Cosby's the oral arguments for his appeal will happen on December 1st. I believe that's a Tuesday. And I'm going to try to take that day off. And it's supposed to be streamed on YouTube. So that's going to be very interesting to see. And you guys will see the judicial process in action. And maybe some folks will actually learn about the fraud, the fraudulent behavior, the fraudulent crap that went down during this fraud of a case, this farce of a case. All right, that'll be something to see. And you guys, take it easy. Please make sure to like this, to share, to subscribe. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you can get all notifications of when I go live, upload a new video, and or do a live stream. All right? Take it easy, and I will see you guys live, if not tomorrow afternoon, Monday. Take it easy, and I will see you guys in the next video.